Alright, hey, what's going on, guys? So what I have in today for repair is a Steam Deck. And what's going on with that Steam Deck is I fixed the left trigger the other day. The customer had done something to it, so now we're working on the right trigger. So let's go ahead and let's get into that video. Alright, so what the customer had done is they had their own done their own fix to this console, and I guess in some cases this would be an easy fix. Let me just double check the sound on this video, and then I'll show you guys an easy fix that you might be able to do at home. I wouldn't advise it, and the reason why I wouldn't advise this fix is because for this specific console, that kind of fix isn't gonna last long at all. I wouldn't even call it a fix. If it is, it's just temporary. I'll just call it more like a patch. You know, just a band-aid on a cut. It's not really fixing the issue, which is facing these consoles. So if you have one of these Steam Decks at home, be careful with it. If you I don't know why it's always this hard for me to get to my own channel. I'm just double checking the sound, so that's what you're hearing right now. Let me just double check the sound, and then we can continue to end this video. All right, so I just double checked the sound, so we're good on the sound. But let's get into this. So let me show you guys explain to you guys what the customer had done. And before I start recording this, I actually removed what the customer had done to this console because I was gonna just go ahead and fix it. I said, let me upload this video for any one of you guys that might run into this problem. What is the actual solution? I'm going to say there is no easy fix, and the reason why, because the button is broken. If you even stick a piece of paper in it, it's only going to last so long. Okay, so let's get underneath the microscope and let me show you guys. So here we are underneath the microscope. Hopefully you guys can see that. So you see this button right here, this blue button. So what happens is, as this is pressed, this trigger is pressed, it presses that button in. The customer did go ahead and they had put a paper clip here to try and fix the issue, and it worked for a few days. And when we got the device in for repair, the other side was also broken. And let me take this button completely out on this side right here, and then I can show you guys that fix also. So this is actually going to show you guys the damage that was done by the customer and what I had to do to fix the damage and then replace the button. So I'm not going to say this is an easy fix. And the reason why is because you need some kind of micro soldering skill in order to repair this properly. If you don't have the skill to micro solder, I'm going to say this is going to be an issue for you to do at home. But if you'd like to try to stick a paper clip or anything like that in there to try and fix a problem temporarily, you can. So over here you can see where I worked. It's still kind of messy, but you can see that I had to run a jumper wire to the button all the way to down here where the customer had damage. They had ripped up this whole that whole wire had been ripped up. So if you look over here, or that whole trace, if you look over here, that's that same trace right here, that when they try to remove the button, they actually rip the whole trace. So when they damage that whole trace, I had to run a jumper wire in order to get connection back to that trace. go ahead and let's see if we can get this console to turn on, and we can test. I mean, we can test the button so you guys can see that that button is indeed working after I did the repair. Before that, it wasn't working. The customer called us up. They were actually honest. They told us that they tried to repair it, one side worked, and that all the damage that they had done, which you don't find that too much with customers. Usually they say, oh, I don't know what happened, you know, I never opened it, and then you go in and then you find out that they have opened it. This customer was actually honest and said, hey, I did open it and I tried to repair it, and this is what happened. So with that being said, I was able to quote them correctly without having, you know, to quote them and then call them up and kind of border with them about the price, because, you know, I found other issue. That's what we'd like to see more, but we don't get to see that kind of transparency with customer and the shops. Okay, so let me get this to the screen so you guys can see that, and I can unplug the charger, and let me get this to the setting so you guys can see these buttons actually working. And they have inside the settings, they actually have a test pad or controller right here. You can test input, which is really nice, right? So if you look, the button is not working. If I click over here, it's working, right? Let me try to press the button using my tweezers to see if the button actually clicks. So under the microscope, let me show you guys that first underneath the microscope as I'm pressing the button. So button is right here, and we press that button. Oh, we were out of the test. My fingers accidentally touched it, so press it, and on the screen, I'll show you now on the screen. So on the screen, it doesn't light up blue. So if I click this one, you can see right here, it's blue. If you click over here, nothing. If I use my tweezer, still nothing. So I think it's damage on the inside. So let's go ahead and let's remove the board. And after we remove the board, we'll go ahead and replace the component. Okay, there we go, better. So we'll first disconnect the battery, and let's make sure we're removing the right board. So it's this side right here. Let's disconnect all of these real quick. Move these connectors back. Okay, and let's put this off to the side over here. So now that we have this board out, let's go ahead and let's get it underneath the microscope. And here is that button underneath the microscope. When the customers send us the actual board, they actually send us two switch. Like I said, I only replaced one because the other one was working, and I sent the customer proof that it was working. But when they actually received it back, it wasn't working. So, could have happened during transport, but I don't think so. I just think that the button was going out, and when we tested it, that was the last bit of life in it, because it was dropped, and when it dropped, the button was knocked off. Okay, so let's get it into a board holder. I think that's the best for this. So Got a board holder here. I was just testing that switch because the switch that they gave us, they also try to, uh, they did try to replace this switch with that one already, and it didn't work out. Not enough heat. A bigger tip would definitely help, but I already have this one on, and the board is actually coming out the board holder, so I'm just kind of tightening it up. I think we need more air. We're actually melting this thing away because the nozzle isn't big enough. That's what I believe. It's not, it doesn't cover the whole connector. And there we go. We actually got that out. So what I'm going to do is turn this off, and I'm going to change this nozzle. Because if not, I'm going to find myself in problems when connecting up the new one. Even though we're going to lower the temperature on the actual, we're going to lower the melting temperature on this solder, I still want to get the bigger tip on here in order to get this job done properly. There we go. So let's go ahead and let's lower this melting temperature on these pads right here. And then we should be able to just lay this in place. And how are we going to lower the melting temperature? By using this solder. Okay, just like that. So now we can turn down, I believe we probably can turn on our airflow. I'm gonna say probably 35 should be good enough. I haven't even looked at this button underneath the microscope yet, so I don't know how much damage the customer did to it. I'm just gonna put it on there and see what happens. So I'm going to wait for these solder at the top right here to kind of fall into the hole, or at least fill it up and let me know that it's ready to and then we'll come with our new button, I think. Well, that's good. One thing you don't want to do is keep on, I'm going to say, fiddling with them, because that's just something that I've learned over the years trying to perfect these things. You'll find yourself in the bigger problems. And I think, like, as a beginner, you try to, like, think you're going to get them on there perfectly, you're going to get everything perfect, especially with the hot air, and you end up causing more problems for yourself. If you just simply just put it on there, just leave it on there, and then come back with your iron and touch it up and try to adjust it, that works out a lot better than you trying to actually perfect it with the hot air. So do as much as you can with the hot air, getting it in place, and then once you do, just come back with your iron and do any kind of touching up that you need to do. Okay, and just like that. I don't think it needs any more than that. We'll come in with alcohol, we'll clean it up, and then we'll come back with our soldering iron, and we'll do some more. Well, we already did the soldering iron, so we're gonna come back with alcohol, and then we have a little spray here that I usually use for solder flux. Use that, and then I come back again with some alcohol to make sure that that stuff is gone off the board completely. Like that. And that looks great, right? There's a big solder blob right there, but it's okay. Not going to affect it in a negative way. If anything, that connector is probably the strongest one. And there we go. Looks good. Okay? So let's go ahead now and let's put this back into the housing. And then once we've done that, we'll go ahead and we can put these screws in. So let's go ahead and let's put these screws in. Just like that. Sorry, I had to take that up off the desk to give me a little bit of a hard time. Okay, let's go ahead and we can test this without the actual trigger button. So we're going to go ahead and plug this thing up and plug it into a charger. And it takes a few seconds after you plug it into a charger to get this thing to turn on. But once you plug it into a charger, maybe 30 seconds or so, and it turns on. Make sure this joystick, this thumbstick is connected up. Okay, and it is turning on. So we'll wait for it to finish turning on and then we'll test them. We can actually disconnect it from the power supply. The battery's plenty charged. It's just whenever you disconnect the batteries from these handheld consoles, I've realized that you need to plug them back up. Okay, so let's get in here. Controller, test input, and we can test this one and this one, and they're both working now. You can see they're both lighting up blue. Let me show you guys that. You can see them both lighting up in blue. Barely can see it, but both of them are lighting up in blue now, so that's good. That means that these buttons have been fixed. So, like I said before, this is not necessarily an easy fix, but this is troubleshooting and fixing it. So if you're at home, I'm not gonna say this is something you can just, easily do at home, because if you don't have the skills and the tools to do it, it's not gonna be easy, but it can be done with a little bit of time and taking your time doing it, and just be careful, but don't go breaking your console and then saying that you watch the guy on YouTube fix his, and it's his fault. It's your console. If you don't feel comfortable doing it, take it to a repair shop. There's local shops, I'm sure, in your area that would love to fix the console for you. If you don't know a shop in your area, you want a referral, you can just write me and tell me where you're at, and we have a Facebook group that I can find someone in your area that would be able to do this for you. All the guys in the group, they do this on a regular basis. Basis? Yeah, fixing these consoles. So I don't think it's much of a challenge for them, and they would love the business. And you never know, you might have some other stuff at home that you didn't know that these guys were in your area, and now that you know where you're located, you can start taking all your devices to them and get have a one-stop shop for all your repairs. Okay, that's in. Now let's get the other side together. You guys can watch over my messy desk as I put this other side together over here. First side is finished. Now for the second side. the spring just fell on the floor, and yeah, now we have to find that. Which I'm sure I could put the button in. I can put the button in first and then put the spring on afterwards, because it's more flexible. I know it fell on the ground. Okay, found it. We have found it. Okay. And let's put the rest of the screws in. Okay, so we have to connect up our battery. Got a battery light, and this shield goes right here. And then you have 1, 2 screws, 3 that goes in there. So let's find those screws. Now I'm just gonna double check all my connectors to make sure that they're all good. So I forgot this ribbon cable. So I'm gonna use my screwdriver and see if I can get it out without yanking too much on it. Okay, and there we go. That's in there. Those are all connected up. Time to put on the back. And then we'll do one final test to make sure that we have everything working. And then once we do the final test, this is ready to go back to the customer. And this customer did a good job taking it apart, because they didn't completely, damage things on the inside of this console when they were taking it apart. I've seen them before where customers try to do like the whole frame replacement and end up damaging like the backlight on it. And the backlight circuit, I couldn't find any information on it. But I do have software now that I think will really help me in a situation like that. So I'd love to get one of these in that have a backlight issue. See if I can fix it. So if you guys watch this Steam Deck repair, you have one that needs fixing, reach out to me and just tell me that you watch this video, and I will give you a special promo price on repairing yours with a backlight issue. So it has to turn on, and you'll be able to see the actual screen, but it will be dimmed. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's plug this up to a charger, give it a few seconds for it to turn on, and then from there we'll start working. Alright, so any minute now we should be, yep, so we have the Steam Deck logo or splash screen, and we should be getting into it now. Okay, alright, let's get into this and let's test these buttons all out and make sure that they're all working. And then once we get them all working, then we can go from there. So hopefully you guys can see that. They're all lighting up blue. There we go. We're testing all of them, making sure that they're all working. Those are all working. So we'll just take a picture of this, send it to the customer, and then we should be good from there. So that's going to be the end of this video, guys. I thank you guys for watching. And like I said, if you got one of these Steam Decks at home that maybe you have a backlight issue, you like to get it repaired, let me know. Write me just in the message, just say, hey, I watched your video on the Steam Deck that you fixed with the trigger. I have a backlight. Can you fix it for me? I'll give you a special discount on repairing that. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next video.